The Zorath Empire ship drifted in the dark of space, its sensors searching for anything unusual. They were one of the most feared races in the galaxy, proud, arrogant, and always ready to prove their strength. Their commander, Vaynor, sat on the bridge with a smug smile. He believed humans were weak, fragile creatures, good for trade but never for war. That was when the signal appeared. It was faint at first, almost like a whisper in the void. The crew leaned closer to their monitors. A strange shape was moving at the edge of their detection range. It was long, dark, and silent. It looked like a ship, but not like any they had seen before. "Commander, unidentified vessel detected," one of the officers said nervously. Vaynor laughed. "A human ship, no doubt. They still try to play at war. Let us see what they are hiding." He ordered a full scan. The ship's sensors reached out like invisible fingers, touching the strange vessel. At first, the scan went smoothly, the screens filled with data, size, shape, materials. But then something strange happened. The data lines blurred, numbers scrambled, and the entire system shook. "Commander, the scan is being reflected," another officer cried out. His hands flew across the console, but the system refused to obey. "Reflected? Impossible," Vaynor growled. His arrogance was shaken, yet he forced a smile. "It is only a trick. Continue." But it was not a trick. The alien crew watched in horror as the human ship responded. Their scan had awakened something inside the vessel. The screens flashed bright, and suddenly, the Zorath ship was no longer scanning the human warship. The warship was scanning them. The bridge went silent. Every officer froze as the lights flickered. The sensors no longer reported human data. Instead, they showed Zorath systems, their shields, their weapons, even their secret codes. It was as if the human ship was peeling them open like a book. One officer whispered in fear, "Commander, it knows us. It sees everything." Vaynor slammed his fist against the chair. "Nonsense. Shut it down. Cut the scan now." But the command was useless. The consoles refused to respond. The human ship had taken control. The officers could only watch as their deepest military secrets flashed across the screens. The crew trembled. Their pride vanished. In that moment, they understood. This was no ordinary vessel. This was not a simple warship built by a young race. This was something else, something alive. "Commander," the chief scientist said in a broken voice, "this ship is not human technology as we know it. It is beyond us." Vaynor turned pale. He wanted to argue, but deep inside, he knew the scientist was right. Humans had been forbidden from building large fleets by the Galactic Council. For centuries, they had played the role of a small race, always smiling, always agreeing, pretending to be harmless. But this ship told a different story. The vessel drifted closer, silent but powerful. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the starlight. No weapons fired, no threats were spoken. Yet the silence felt heavier than any weapon. It was the silence of a predator watching its prey. Then the lights dimmed. A pulse of energy rippled out from the warship, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. The Zorath crew clutched their ears as the pulse echoed inside their skulls. It was not a sound. It was a message. And the message was clear. "You should not have looked." Vaynor's hands trembled on the armrest. He tried to speak, but no words came. For the first time in years, he felt fear crawl into his chest. His crew looked at him, eyes wide, waiting for orders. But even he knew there was nothing they could do. The human warship had seen them. It had seen into them, and it was still watching, the Side. Length stretched on, broken only by the steady pulse of the warship's strange signal. It felt like a warning, a cold reminder that humanity was not what they seemed. The Zorath commander looked at the shadowy vessel and whispered under his breath, "What have we done?" The crew would never forget that moment, the day they probed a human warship and immediately regretted it. The Zorath warship floated helpless in the dark, its crew still staring at the glowing screens. Their proud technology had been turned against them. The human vessel had not fired a single shot, yet the Zorath ship already felt defeated. The commander, Vaynor, forced himself to stand tall. His voice shook as he ordered, "Report, what did it take from us?" The chief scientist's face was pale. His hands trembled as he spoke. "Commander, the warship copied everything. Our weapons schematics, our fleet codes, even our hidden colonies. It knows us better than we know ourselves." Whispers of fear spread across the bridge. Some officers looked ready to abandon their posts. Others stared at the strange human vessel with wide, terrified eyes. It was not just a ship. It was a shadow with eyes that pierced through souls. Suddenly, one of the consoles came alive. Data poured across the screen. Not their data, not Zorath systems. This time it was human data. It showed Earth's location, the solar system, and then secret shipyards hidden beyond Neptune. The crew gasped. Impossible, one officer muttered. The humans were forbidden to build fleets. The council watches them closely. Yet the proof was there. Thousands of massive structures orbiting in the cold dark. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of vessels larger than anything the Zorath had ever imagined. The human ship had shown them what lay hidden in the shadows. The scientist whispered, "They never obeyed the council. They built in silence. They built in secret. And they built something greater than us all." The commander slammed his fist against the armrest, rage and fear mixing in his heart. This is lies, a trick to break us. But deep down, he knew it was truth. The humans had played weak for too long. Now the mask was falling. The human warship drifted closer. Its hull shimmered with strange symbols, not painted but alive, glowing faintly. The pulse it had sent earlier grew louder. It was no longer a whisper. It was a drumbeat echoing through the minds of the crew. Thump, thump, thump. Every beat carried power. Every beat carried a warning. The Zorath officers clutched their heads, visions flashing before their eyes. They saw human fleets rising, alien empires burning, galaxies reshaped by war. "Commander," the helmsman shouted, "our engines are failing. It is draining us." Indeed, the ship's power levels dropped rapidly, as if the warship was feeding on their energy. Vaynar's heart pounded. He tried to issue commands, but his own console sparked and went dead. Then the warship spoke, not with words, not with sound, but with a thought that forced its way into every Zorath mind. "You looked into the abyss. Now the abyss looks back." The crew screamed. Some fell to their knees. Others clutched their eyes. The scientist collapsed, muttering, "It knows us. It knows everything. We are naked before it." And then, silence again. The human ship drifted back, as if it had finished its cruel game. It had given them knowledge, visions, and fear. It had shown them a future no one wanted to see. The Zorath commander gasped for air. His pride was gone, his arrogance broken. He looked at the trembling faces of his crew and realized the truth. They had not discovered a secret of humanity. Humanity had discovered a secret of them. The Zorath Empire would never be the same, and somewhere deep inside, Vayner wished they had never scanned that ship. The shadow of humanity was growing, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The Zorath warship floated in silence, but inside the crew was bright. Oaken. They had seen visions of hidden human shipyards, vast stations in the cold dark beyond Neptune. The images would not leave their minds. Thousands of massive human warships sleeping in the shadows, waiting. Commander Vayner tried to calm his people. He told them it was only a trick, only false data, but even he did not believe his own words. The pulse from the human warship still echoed in his skull, reminding him of truths too large to ignore. The scientist, still shaking, whispered, "For centuries the council thought humans weak. They forced Earth to stay small. They forbade them from building fleets. But what if humans obeyed only on the surface? What if they smiled in meetings, bowed their heads, but secretly prepared for war?" The words cut through the silence like a knife. The crew exchanged terrified glances. They remembered human diplomats, always polite, always calm, never raising their voices. But now those smiles looked different. They looked like masks. The console screens flickered again. This time they showed history, not alien history, human history. The warship was forcing them to watch. Battles from Earth's past appeared before their eyes, armies marching, cities burning, fleets clashing, nuclear fire tearing the sky. The Zorath officers gasped as they watched humanity's endless wars. "They fight themselves with such fury," one officer whispered. "If they do this to their own kind, what will they do to us?" The vision shifted. Now the crew saw the council meeting halls, humans standing there quietly as stronger races mocked them, insulted them, dismissed them. The humans never fought back. They only smiled. They only agreed. They only waited. Vayner's throat went dry. The truth was forming in his mind. Humans had never been weak. They had only been patient. The ship's pulse grew louder, faster, harder. Thump, thump, thump. Every beat shook their bones. Every beat carried one message. We are not prey. We are not fragile. We are not what you think, the crew screamed as the visions grew stronger. They saw hidden Earth shipyards now fully active, fleets awakening, weapons charging, captains giving orders with cold eyes. They saw humanity standing at the edge of the galaxy, silent, waiting. The scientist fell to his knees. They played the galaxy. They hid behind kindness. They wore a mask. And now the mask is gone. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Zorath ship, systems failing, engines dying. It was not an attack, it was worse. Their own systems were turning against them. The human warship had slipped into their code, rewriting everything. "Commander," the helmsman shouted, "we are locked. We cannot move." The human vessel drifted closer. Its massive shadow swallowed the Zorath ship. The crew felt like insects before a giant. Vayner gritted his teeth. His pride as a warrior was gone. All that remained was dread. And then, in a voice colder than space itself, the warship finally spoke, not to their ears but directly to their minds. "You called us weak. You forbade us to rise. You thought we would kneel forever." The crew clutched their heads. The words burned into their souls. The warship's final whisper chilled them all. "You were wrong." The silence that followed was worse than any scream. The Zorath knew then. Humanity had worn a mask for centuries, and now the mask was breaking. The Zorath crew clung to their stations, sweat dripping down their foreheads. Their ship was trapped, engines locked, systems hacked. The human warship floated before them like a sleeping beast, yet every pulse of its signal felt alive. Commander Vayner gritted his teeth. "This is only a machine. It cannot destroy us with fear alone." His voice shook, but he forced his pride into every word. Yet in his heart, he felt the weight of doom pressing harder. The ship's dark hull shimmered. Lines of light ran across its body like veins, glowing brighter wit. Each pulse, thump, thump, thump. The heartbeat grew faster, louder. The crew clutched their heads as the vibration rattled their bones. The scientist gasped, "It is waking up, Commander. The ship was only sleeping. Now it is alive." Vayner barked, "Alive. Machines do not live." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. This was not a normal warship. This was something greater, something built to think, to feel, to decide. The Zorath officers watched in horror as the vessel's engines came alive. Burning blue fire erupted, but it did not move. It only hummed with restrained power, power so great it seemed to bend the space around it. A sudden wave of energy burst from the warship, racing through the stars. Every console on the Zorath ship lit up with strange signals, not words, not code, but a raw broadcast sent in every direction. The communications officer screamed, "It is transmitting across the galaxy." And then the screens showed the truth. Other empires, other fleets, other council members, all receiving the same pulse. The message was simple but terrifying. "We are awake." The Zorath crew stared in shock. The human warship had not only revealed itself to them, it had revealed itself to everyone. Vayner slammed his fist on the chair. "Fools, they will start a war. The council will destroy them." But the scientist whispered, his eyes wide, "No, Commander, the council will not destroy them. The council will fear them. That is worse." As the transmission ended, the warship's hull shifted again. Strange, geometric patterns rippled across its surface. Symbols older than any alien language. They glowed like fire, each one beating in rhythm with the ship's heart. The helmsman trembled. "Commander, our navigation system. It is showing coordinates. They are not ours." The screen blinked with star maps marked with paths to hidden human fleets, Earth's secret armadas. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were announcing themselves. Then, without warning, the Zorath ship's lights went out, total dark. Ness filled the bridge. Only the human warship glowed in the void, a colossal shadow outlined in fire, and in the darkness, a thought pressed into every mind. "You tried to chain us. You tried to silence us." But now we rise. The crew screamed. Lights returned. Systems rebooted. But the damage was done. They had felt the truth. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was something greater. Vayner collapsed into his chair, his face pale, his hands shaking. For the first time in his life, he had no plan. He whispered almost to himself, "This is the end of balance. The galaxy will never be the same." The human warship did not fire. It did not move. But its silence spoke louder than any weapon. The Zorath crew understood. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would tremble. The Zorath warship floated in the shadow of the human vessel, its crew shaken, their pride broken. The galaxy had just heard the heartbeat of humanity, and nothing would be the same again. Commander Vayner tried to gather his thoughts, but whispers filled the bridge. Officers spoke in fear. If the Council knows, they will panic. If the Empires know, they will strike first. What if humanity wants war? The chief scientist's eyes were hollow, his voice a whisper. "Commander, we are standing at the edge of something greater than war. This is not just about humans building ships. This is about humans building destiny." As he spoke, transmissions poured into the Zorath comms, messages from across the stars, scrambled voices of panic, entire empires shouting the same words. "Did you see it? Is it real? How many ships do they have?" The galaxy trembled. For centuries, the Council had believed humans were under control, a small race bound by rules. But now those rules had shattered. Humanity had announced themselves with silence and fire. The human warship did not move. It only floated, watching, waiting. Its silence was heavier than any weapon, and that silence spread across the stars like a plague. It made rulers nervous, generals restless, spies terrified. Reports came in. Alien spies confirmed that the hidden human shipyards were real. Entire stations cloaked in the cold dark of the solar system, protected by weapons the galaxy had never seen. Some empires began to prepare fleets. Others whispered of surrender before the first shot. Vayner's second officer leaned close, his voice trembling. "Commander, if this is true, then humanity has already won. We only argue about how long it takes for us to realize it." The commander growled, forcing steel into his words. "No, they are clever, but they are still human. They can bleed, they can die. If we strike first, we can still break them." But his words felt hollow. Even he did not believe them. The visions forced into his mind still haunted him. Fleets of human warships awakening like titans in the void. The scientist turned, his face pale. "Strike first, Commander, and we invite our own end. These ships are not built to fight like ours. They are built to think, to learn, to grow. They are not machines, they are predators." Before Vayner could respond, the bridge lights dimmed again. The human vessel shimmered with power. Its hull patterns glowed brighter. Its engines rumbled like thunder. Then, without a word, it simply vanished. One moment, it filled the void. The next, it was gone. No trace, no trail, as if it had never been. Only silence remained. The crew gasped. "Where did it go? How can a ship disappear?" The scientist whispered. "It did not leave. It is still here, watching. We just cannot see it." Vayner clenched his fists. His empire had faced countless foes, but never one like this. Never an enemy that fought with shadows and silence. Humanity was no longer a small race. They were a threat greater than any empire. And across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. Fleets prepared for battle. Rulers gathered in secret councils. Every empire whispered the same. Question: what will humanity do next? The silence was their answer. The silence was the threat. The Zorath commander Vayner stood on the bridge, fists clenched. His crew looked broken, haunted by silence and visions. But he could not allow fear to rule them, not in front of the galaxy. "Enough hiding," he growled. "We are warriors. We will not bow to shadows." His voice echoed, but his eyes betrayed the doubt within him. The officers exchanged nervous glances. They knew the truth. The human warship had disappeared, yet its presence was everywhere. Its silence pressed against their minds like a weight. Suddenly, alarms blared. The warship reappeared right in front of them, closer than ever. Its hull glowed like a living storm. Its engines burned with impossible fire. "Prepare weapons," Vayner barked. His voice cracked, but he stood tall. "We will face them." The crew obeyed, targeting systems locked on the human vessel, cannons powered, missiles armed. The Zorath warship had enough firepower to destroy a fleet, but the human ship did not move. It did not flinch. It simply stared back, cold and silent. Then, the Zorath consoles went dark. One by one, weapons shut down, shields collapsed, engines stalled. The crew shouted, slamming controls, but nothing worked. "It is inside us again," the scientist cried. His hands trembled. "It is not fighting our weapons, it is controlling them." On the screens, alien code dissolved into human symbols. Lines of light crawled across their systems like veins. The warship had hacked them completely. Then came the voice, not spoken but burned into their minds. "You call yourselves warriors. You build weapons to kill. But your weapons now serve us." The Zorath crew screamed as their ship turned against them. Cannons rotated, missiles unlocked. But instead of aiming at the human warship, they locked onto their own escorts. "No, V." Einar shouted, "Stop this!" His words were useless. The ship fired. Bright fire filled the void as Zorath ships tore into each other, a fleet destroyed. Without the humans firing a single shot, the bridge shook. Explosions rippled across the Zorath armada. The crew watched helplessly, their proud empire's strength shredded by its own hands. The human warship glowed brighter. Its silence was deafening. Then another thought pressed into their minds, cold and final. "We do not need to fight you. You will fight yourselves." Vaynar's chest heaved, his pride shattered. He had thought humans weak, fragile, bound by the council. But now he saw the truth. They were not weak. They were patient hunters, waiting for the perfect moment. The galaxy would not see humans as prey anymore. They would see them as predators in the dark. The Zorath crew stared at the burning wrecks of their own fleet, their hearts hollow, their commander silent. And above the ruins, the human warship drifted, calm, untouched, unstoppable. The clash of wills was over before it had begun. The void burned with the wreckage of the Zorath fleet. Ships that once carried pride and power now floated as broken husks, torn apart not by human weapons but by their own. Commander Vayner stood in silence. His crew was pale, trembling, every eye fixed on the single warship that had ended them without firing a shot. The human vessel drifted calmly through the graveyard it had created. Its glowing hull pulsed with rhythm, steady and alive, like a heart that would never stop. The scientist whispered, "We were warned. We were blind. We thought humans weak, but they were only waiting. They were preparing for this moment." Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. Transmissions from 1,000 worlds filled the stars. Some shouted for war, others cried for surrender. Empires argued in secret halls, their rulers pale with fear. The council itself trembled, their control shattered. The human warship pulsed again. This time the signal reached farther. It reached into the hearts of Eve. Rye Empire, every ruler, every fleet, a simple truth carved into their minds: we wanted peace. You forced us to remember war. The message spread like wildfire. Whole civilizations froze, their leaders whispering the same thought. If one ship can do this, what will an entire fleet unleash? The Zorath crew could not look away. As the ship drifted closer, its shadow fell over their bridge. Vayner felt small, like dust before a storm. His voice cracked as he muttered, "We should never have scanned it. We should never have provoked them." And then, in the silence, more shadows appeared. One after another, massive warships uncloaked around the human vessel. Dozens at first, then hundreds, stretching across the stars. Their hulls glowed with the same pulsing light. The galaxy gasped. Humanity had not awakened one ship. They had awakened a fleet, a hidden armada waiting in silence. The scientist fell to his knees, tears in his eyes. It is over. The galaxy belongs to them now. The final thought pressed into their minds, sharp as a blade. You looked into our strength. Now you will live with the memory. This is your regret. The Zorath commander closed his eyes. His empire would never recover. The galaxy would never recover. Humanity had revealed its mask, and the stars themselves seemed to shiver. The human fleet did not fire. It did not speak. It only waited, patient, silent, unstoppable. And across the galaxy, every empire realized the same truth. Humanity had risen, and nothing would ever put them down again.